Breaking right now, the British royal family mired in one of its biggest crises in history.
Princess Anne is taking aim at Meghan Markle, and it could destroy everything the Sussexes have built. Reports suggest she has sparked a formal investigation into Archewell, while Meghan faces a $10 million lawsuit over her Netflix project, an ongoing defamation battle, and a marriage now reportedly on the brink of collapse. How did a fairy tale wedding spiral into legal chaos, financial scrutiny, and royal exile? And is Princess Anne truly orchestrating Meghan's permanent fall from the royal fold? Join us as we unpack the details of the investigations that have been launched into Archewell. Princess Anne's silent campaign. Recently, King Charles reportedly expressed interest in reconciling with his youngest son, and even meeting his grandchildren Archie and Lilibet. But Princess Anne has emerged as the most formidable obstacle, standing between Meghan Markle and any potential return to the United Kingdom or the royal family. Princess Anne has been quietly pulling strings behind the scenes at Windsor Castle, helping Prince William and Queen Camilla block any path back for the Sussexes and urging King Charles III to ban the Suits actress from crossing the threshold. What makes Anne's intervention particularly interesting is her typical reluctance to involve herself in family politics. The Princess Royal's stance on Meghan has been consistent from the very beginning. Royal expert Neil Sean revealed that early in Meghan's royal career, the actress sought out Princess Anne for advice about navigating life as a working royal. Anne's counsel was characteristically blunt and practical. Think of being royal as a job, and not a means to become hugely famous. However, apparently, Meghan left her meeting with Princess Anne dumbfounded, according to Sean. The Duchess of Sussex ultimately chose not to follow Anne's guidance, instead pursuing a path that prioritized personal brand building and media engagement over traditional royal service. Now, years later, Anne's early assessment has proven prophetic, and she's reportedly aligned with Prince William and Queen Camilla, in opposition to any Sussex return. Anne says it's madness that Charles would countenance any type of reconciliation or forgiveness, let alone allow this upstart anywhere near them, the insider revealed, referring to Markle. The source added an ominous warning about what would happen if Meghan dared to return. If Meghan does decide to come back to the UK and finds herself in the same room with Anne or Camilla, she'll get extremely short shrift, which is just about the most fearsome combination imaginable. Anne's involvement in blocking the Sussexes represents a significant power move. Despite not always seeing eye to eye with her nephew Prince William, she reportedly agrees completely with his assessment that the Sussexes are shamelessly taking advantage of King Charles. Her intervention adds weight to William's campaign to keep Harry, and especially Meghan, at arm's length from the monarchy. What makes Princess Anne's opposition particularly devastating for Meghan is Anne's unimpeachable reputation within the royal family and beyond. Known as the hardest-working royal, Anne completes more official engagements than any other family member, often exceeding 500 appearances per year, even as she approaches her mid-70s. Her dedication to duty without seeking publicity or personal gain stands in stark contrast to what many perceive as Meghan's approach to royal life. Anne's early warning about Meghan's short shelf life in the monarchy has proven remarkably prescient. According to royal insiders, when Anne advised Meghan to treat royal life as a job, she was drawing on her own decades of experience. Anne herself faced intense media scrutiny in her younger years, endured a difficult first marriage that ended in divorce, and weathered countless storms. Yet she never complained publicly, never sought to monetize her royal status, and never positioned herself as a victim. Her expectation was that Meghan would show similar resilience and discretion. The fact that Meghan chose a different path, one that included the Oprah interview, the Netflix series, and Harry's memoir Spare, has only reinforced Anne's belief that the Duchess cannot be trusted with access to the royal family. Sources close to Anne suggest she views Meghan's actions as a profound betrayal not just of the institution, but of the late Queen Elizabeth II, who had welcomed Meghan warmly and made accommodations for her that were unprecedented for a newcomer to the family. Anne's alliance with Queen Camilla is particularly significant. The two women have developed a strong working relationship and mutual respect over the years. Both have faced intense media criticism, Anne for her perceived cold demeanor, Camilla for her role in Charles's first marriage, and both have quietly rebuilt their reputations through consistent, unglamorous work. They represent everything Meghan is not: patient, self-effacing, and committed to serving rather than being served. Prince William's alignment with his aunt on this issue creates a formidable wall against any Sussex reconciliation. William, as heir to the throne, holds enormous influence over his father's decisions. When William and Anne speak with one voice, it becomes nearly impossible for Charles to move forward with reconciliation plans, regardless of his personal wishes. The king may want to see his grandchildren and repair his relationship with Harry, but he cannot afford to alienate his heir and his sister in the process. But Princess Anne's opposition to the Sussexes returning to the royal fold is only the beginning. Behind the headlines, Archewell is facing mounting scrutiny, from financial chaos to a possible IRS investigation. What exactly is happening at the Sussexes Foundation, and how deep does this crisis go? The Archewell crises. While Princess Anne works to shut the door on any royal reconciliation, Harry and Meghan face potentially catastrophic problems with their charitable foundation that could destroy their public image and even tear apart their marriage. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are reportedly at the brink of an investigation into their newly renamed charity, Archewell Philanthropies. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex's charitable foundation might face investigation very soon by the U.S. authorities amid growing crisis, according to reports from New Idea magazine. The numbers paint a deeply troubling picture. In 2024, Archewell's total expenses were $7.5 million, while it took donations of $3.1 million. The charity released only $1.8 million in grants during that same year. This means Archewell spent more than double what it raised in donations and distributed less than a quarter of its spending as actual charitable grants. Fresh financial filings for 2024 reveal even more troubling details. Contributions fell sharply from roughly £3,960,000 in 2023 to just £1,570,000 in 2024. Even more suspicious, almost the entire year's haul appears to hinge on a single $2 million donation routed through the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, believed by critics to be linked to the same mystery donor who quietly funneled £7,500,000 to Archewell back in 2021. By the end of 2024, Archewell's liabilities had surged by more than £600,000 compared to the previous year. Charity watchdogs have been left openly baffled by the foundation's financial trajectory, with expenses exploding even as donations collapsed. This isn't the first time Archewell has faced regulatory scrutiny. In May 2024, the charity was declared delinquent by California's Registry of Charities and Fundraisers for failing to pay annual registration fees or submit required annual reports. California Attorney General Rob Bonta issued a notice of delinquency to Archewell Foundation this month, noting that the organization's renewal information was incomplete. State records show that the foundation's last renewal was in May 2023, and that it has officially been marked delinquent, meaning the charity cannot raise money. The couple claimed the issue was simply a lost check in the mail, and California Governor Gavin Newsom defended them, calling it a technical paperwork issue that was wildly overhyped. However, the pattern of financial mismanagement and questionable decisions continues to raise eyebrows. Adding to the controversy, Archewell pulled funding from the Milwaukee Muslim Women's Coalition over what they deemed hate speech, creating a public relations nightmare when the coalition accused them of abandoning Afghan refugee women. The decision demonstrated that even the Sussexes' charitable work has become mired in controversy and criticism. The Archewell situation is particularly problematic because Harry and Meghan have positioned themselves as champions of transparency and accountability. They've criticized the royal family for financial opacity and lack of disclosure. They've presented themselves as modern philanthropists who operate differently from the stuffy, secretive British establishment. Now they face questions about their own financial management that echo the very criticisms they've leveled at others. Financial experts who have reviewed the publicly available documents express concern about several red flags. First, the reliance on a single mystery donor for the majority of funding creates enormous vulnerability. If that donor withdraws support, as appears to be happening based on the 2024 numbers, the Foundation's entire operation becomes unsustainable. Second, the ratio of expenses to grants is troubling. A healthy charity typically distributes at least 65 to 75% of its budget to actual charitable programs. Archewell is distributing barely 24%. Where is all the money going? The filings show significant expenses for salaries, consultants, travel, and operational costs. Critics have questioned whether Archewell functions more as an employment vehicle for the Sussexes' friends and allies than as an effective charitable organization. The Foundation has a relatively small staff but enormous overhead, suggesting money is being spent on things other than direct charitable work. The timing of the potential IRS investigation couldn't be worse for Harry and Meghan. They're already facing credibility problems after the premature end of their Spotify deal, mixed reviews for their Netflix content, and ongoing questions about how they're funding their lavish Montecito lifestyle. An investigation that reveals financial mismanagement, or worse, improper use of charitable funds, would destroy what remains of their public image. There's also the question of how an Archewell scandal would affect their marriage. Harry has reportedly been the more engaged partner in the Foundation's work, viewing it as a continuation of his mother's charitable legacy. If his philanthropic vehicle becomes mired in scandal, it would represent a personal failure that goes beyond mere embarrassment. For Meghan, who has already faced years of negative press, another major scandal might be the final straw that convinces her to step back from public life entirely, or to separate from Harry to protect her own reputation. The Archewell crisis also points at a fundamental problem with Harry and Meghan's post-royal strategy. They wanted the prestige and platform of royal life without the restrictions and accountability. But operating as private citizens means facing scrutiny from regulators, tax authorities, and charity watchdogs who have the power to investigate and penalize wrongdoing. The royal family, for all its problems, operates under different rules and enjoys certain protections. Harry and Meghan are discovering that life outside the palace walls comes with its own set of challenges they may not be equipped to handle. Amid the financial chaos that isn't going anywhere is another lawsuit. What happens when lifestyle advice turns dangerous? The $10 million lawsuit. As if the Archewell investigation weren't enough, Meghan faces a potentially devastating lawsuit from a viewer of her Netflix show With Love Meghan, who claims the Duchess's homemade bath salts recipe left her with catastrophic injuries. Robin Patrick, a diabetic from Maryland, states she followed a recipe for bath salts that appeared on Meghan Markle's Netflix show, With Love Meghan. The recipe included Epsom salt, Himalayan salt, arnica oil, and lavender oil, with no clear warning about potential risks. Patrick's account of what happened is harrowing. She claims the bath salts caused severe burns that developed into painful ulcers that still haven't healed. The diabetic woman argues that Meghan failed in her duty of care by not providing an adequate warning about the risks of using the salts, especially for diabetics. People with diabetes are strongly discouraged from using bathing salts because they often have dry feet or nerve damage from diabetic neuropathy, and wounds can take a long time to heal and worsen quickly. According to a letter obtained by The Independent, Patrick is seeking $10 million in punitive damages. She's also asked for $75,000 in compensatory damages to cover her medical expenses and other related costs that may stem from the effects of her alleged burns. Meghan's legal team has mounted a vigorous defense. Cameron Stracher from Intellectual Property Corporations, the production company behind the show, responded, "Under the law, neither IPC, Netflix, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, nor Archewell are liable to you for your claims. None of the parties responsible for the series, including the entities you list in your letter, owe you a particular duty of care because you do not have a special relationship with any of them, as a matter of law." The lawyer continued, "There is nothing inherently dangerous about a mixture of salts, arnica oil, and essential oil. Thus, because the recipe for the bath salts that allegedly caused your injuries does not constitute a clear and present danger to the public, you cannot pierce the First Amendment protections for speech by bringing a negligence claim." Whether or not the lawsuit succeeds, it represents yet another PR disaster for Meghan. Her Netflix show was supposed to showcase her lifestyle expertise and cement her brand as a wellness influencer. Instead, it's generated accusations of recklessness and potential harm. The irony is palpable. A show meant to promote well-being has allegedly caused serious physical injury. The bath salts lawsuit also exposes the risks of celebrity lifestyle content. When Martha Stewart or Gwyneth Paltrow share recipes or wellness advice, they have teams of lawyers, insurance policies, and corporate structures to protect them from liability. Meghan, operating through a production company but still closely identified with the content personally, may not have the same level of protection. Legal experts note that even if Meghan ultimately prevails in the lawsuit and the First Amendment defense is strong, the damage to her brand may be irreversible. The lawsuit has generated headlines worldwide, associating Meghan Markle with burns, ulcers, and medical harm in news stories and social media discussions. For someone trying to build a lifestyle empire, this is catastrophic. The lawsuit also raises questions about the due diligence process for With Love, Meghan. Were the recipes tested? Were medical professionals consulted about potential risks? Were warnings included for people with medical conditions? The fact that a viewer claims to have been seriously injured suggests the production team may have failed to anticipate obvious dangers. Robin Patrick's attorney has made clear they believe Netflix, IPC, and Meghan herself all share liability for what happened. In legal filings, they argue that Meghan's celebrity status and trusted position as a member of the royal family created a duty of care that was violated when she promoted a potentially dangerous recipe without adequate warnings. For Meghan's broader business strategy, the lawsuit is particularly damaging because it strikes at the heart of what she's trying to build. She wants to be seen as an expert on living well, making smart choices, and creating a beautiful life. But an expert wouldn't promote something that could harm people. An expert would include appropriate warnings and safety information. The lawsuit suggests Meghan is playing at being a lifestyle guru without having the actual expertise or support system required to do it safely. Her struggles aren't ending anytime soon, and this time, the source is her own family. The Samantha Markle defamation battle. While dealing with the bath salts lawsuit, Meghan continues fighting a legal battle with her estranged half-sister Samantha Markle that refuses to go away. Samantha first sued Meghan for defamation in 2022 over statements made during the infamous Oprah Winfrey interview and the Netflix docu-series Harry and Meghan. Meghan told Oprah she grew up as an only child and would have liked to have siblings, but Samantha and Tom Markle Jr. had already moved out of their father Thomas Markle Sr.'s house. The lawsuit was dismissed in March 2024, with Judge Charlene Honeywell ruling that every statement in the lawsuit was non-actionable, either because it is a protected opinion, substantially true, based on judicially noticed evidence, not capable of being considered defamatory, or because plaintiff is precluded from meeting the actual malice standard. However, Samantha refused to accept defeat. She appealed the ruling, and a crunch hearing was scheduled for the week of August 11, 2025, at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal in Atlanta, Georgia. An 11th Circuit panel appeared ready on Tuesday to douse the fires of a legal feud between Meghan Markle and her estranged half-sister, with the appellate court's chief judge all but outright refusing to overturn a Florida federal judge's dismissal of the defamation claims. Samantha's lawyer, Peter Tickton, made a creative argument. If somebody had a manual on how you hurt somebody and escape the liability of having a claim against you for defamation, this is the case. It's a smorgasbord of every single kind of way of avoiding liability, all mixed in one. The lawsuit also targeted statements by Christopher Bouzy, a social media analyst who appeared in the Netflix series and suggested Samantha had spread hateful misinformation about Meghan on Twitter. Samantha's team alleges the show guided viewers into believing she had orchestrated the racist hate campaign against her sister, a characterization they call unfair and defamatory. While most legal experts believe Samantha's appeal will ultimately fail, the ongoing litigation keeps Meghan's family dysfunction in the headlines and prevents her from moving forward. Royal expert Richard Fitzwilliams noted that Meghan's family estrangement looms heavily over her, casting a dark shadow on her efforts to reinvent herself as an entrepreneur. Crisis management expert Eric Schiffer told Fox News Digital, "Far be it from me to say someone else should reconcile with a family member, but I will say this. Anytime you choose to litigate or publicize your family issues in front of a global jury of your peers, it never leads to a winning outcome. Everyone loses." From a bitter feud with her sister to whispers of a failing marriage, Meghan's life is under intense scrutiny. But what's really happening with Harry? The marriage in crisis. Beyond the legal battles and financial investigations, perhaps the most shocking development involves persistent reports that Harry and Meghan's marriage may not survive 2026. The source of the marital tension isn't infidelity or financial disagreements. It's something more fundamental and potentially unsolvable. A fundamental disagreement about where they should live, rooted in Harry's growing obsession with returning to Britain and Meghan's deep-seated resistance to the idea. Prince Harry now has become increasingly fixated on the idea of spending more time in the United Kingdom. The catalyst is clear. King Charles's health crisis has sharpened Harry's sense that time is running out. His father is 77 and battling cancer. Harry reportedly had a brief meeting with Charles at Clarence House in September 2025, which reignited his desire to repair family relationships before it's too late. For Harry, 2026 feels urgent, but for Meghan, the prospect of returning to the UK represents everything she escaped. She is equally determined not to be rushed back into a country she associates with pain, scrutiny, and unfinished business. She doesn't want to put herself back in that place and feels that it's back on the table, the insider explained. Meghan has also attempted to push back against divorce speculation. In a New Year's Eve newsletter, she shared details of how she and Harry plan to ring in 2026 together. Writing, "When the clock strikes midnight, we'll be celebrating right along with you. Glasses raised, bottles of bubbly popping, and confetti in the air. Only in our case, it's flower sprinkles falling instead." She also defended their relationship in an interview with Harper's Bazaar. "He loves me so boldly, fully, and he also has a different perspective because he sees media that I wouldn't. No one in the world loves me more than him. so I know he's always going to make sure that he has my back. However, insiders suggest these public declarations of unity may mask deeper problems. The couple's increasingly separate professional lives, with Meghan focusing on her Hollywood comeback and lifestyle brand while Harry steps back from some commitments, has only fueled speculation that they're preparing for separate futures. The geographical divide represents more than just a practical disagreement about where to live. It reflects fundamentally different values and priorities that may be impossible to reconcile. Harry's identity is rooted in his British heritage, his military service, his charitable work in the UK and Africa, and his complex relationship with his family. Despite everything that's happened, he's still a prince, still fifth in line to the throne, still the son of the king and the late Princess Diana. That's not something he can simply walk away from, no matter how much he might want to at times. The couple has reportedly tried various compromises. Harry suggested they could spend a few months each year in the UK, splitting their time between California and Britain. Meghan countered that Harry could visit alone while she stays with the children in Montecito. Harry proposed bringing Archie and Lilibet to meet their grandfather without Meghan having to engage with the broader royal family. Meghan worried that any UK visit would be weaponized against them by the British press. None of these compromises have worked because they all require one partner to sacrifice something they view as essential. Harry can't heal his relationship with his father from 5,000 miles away. Meghan can't protect her mental health while living part-time in the country she blames for her trauma. It's an impossible situation with no obvious solution. Relationship experts who have studied the situation suggest that Harry and Meghan are experiencing what's known as fundamental value conflict, a disagreement so deep and so tied to core identity that compromise becomes nearly impossible. Unlike conflicts about money, parenting, or even infidelity, which can potentially be resolved through counseling and communication, fundamental value conflicts often lead to irreconcilable differences. Beyond their personal struggles, Harry and Meghan's professional partnership appears to be fracturing as well, with both pursuing increasingly independent projects that suggest they may be planning for life apart. Harry has been making solo appearances and trips to the UK, including his recent court appearances and charity work. However, his professional reputation took a significant hit when he abruptly resigned as patron of Sentebale, the African HIV charity he established in 2006 in honor of his late mother, Princess Diana. Dr. Sophie Chandauka, who has headed Sentebale since July 2023, said the way the Duke handled his departure from the charity amounted to harassment and bullying at scale. Harry defended himself, saying he and co-founder Prince Seiso of Lesotho stepped down because the relationship between the charity's trustees and Dr. Chandauka broke down beyond repair. Britain's Charity Commission investigated and found no evidence of widespread or systemic bullying or harassment at Sentebale, but the damage to Harry's reputation was done. Meanwhile, Meghan has been focusing on her lifestyle brand and Netflix projects, including With Love, Meghan, which has generated more controversy than acclaim. The show's mixed reviews, combined with the bath salts lawsuit, suggest Meghan's attempt to become the next Martha Stewart or Gwyneth Paltrow may be failing. The couple's multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify were supposed to secure their financial future and cement their status as media moguls. However, their Spotify deal ended prematurely, and reports of internal strain at Archewell Productions have raised questions about whether their media empire can survive. Which crisis do you think poses the biggest threat to Harry and Meghan's future? Do you believe Princess Anne is right to block Meghan's potential return to the UK? Or should King Charles be allowed to reconcile with his son and daughter-in-law? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.